Welcome back to the podcast. This is going to be one of those episodes where I am just kind of talking off the cuff versus following a specific outline that I've written out, because there are some conversations that I've been having recently that really sparked this interest to speak about this topic. I have made a couple of notes, but I really am just kind of sharing with you some of the thoughts that I'm having as it comes to parenting and the trends that I'm seeing. And I really think this is going to be helpful. It might also make you feel a little uncomfortable. And I think that that is one of my jobs as a coach, is to be a disruptor and to bring things into your awareness that may already be there, but to give you the chance to maybe acknowledge that they're there. And of course, to give you strategies on how to manage whatever comes up. I'm going to be talking today about this wave of change that I'm seeing in parents and in teens, and that there is a new paradigm in parenting that's beginning to emerge that I'm observing. And a lot of you listening in on this podcast are kind of in the beginning of that wave. I believe it began a few years ago, but many of you listening are being swept into this wave, either against your will or intentionally. But the approach to parenting is changing. It needs to change. And I'm going to talk a little bit today about some of the signs you may be seeing that are signifying to you that you are going to be part of this wave of change and that you can be. I'm also going to talk about a little bit about the paradigm and the rules that we had growing up, what it was like, parenting was like back then, and the results of that style of parenting. I'm also going to talk about the new approach to parenting that's emerging, why it's important, how it's different, and the impact that it will have on future generations. And of course, I'll share the challenges that come along with being that change maker, the person, the agent of change, and doing things a little bit different. And then I'm going to end with some strategies on how to manage the discomfort that can come with doing something that hasn't been done before and leading this new generation into adulthood with an approach of parenting that is something that hasn't been mainstream before. This is a big picture podcast. And I'm speaking to, like I said, a massive change that I may not see come to fruition in my lifetime, but I would like to. So like I said, you're listening, you're intrigued. Likely you are part of this paradigm shift. And if so, welcome aboard. I never say that anything I offer is better, but this is better. Always follow your intuition. I always say that. Follow your gut, follow your values, be aware and have intention behind your behaviors and your actions, but also be open to maybe what you're doing isn't as effective as you would like it to be. So here are a few signs that you might be part of this paradigm shift. You might be a paradigm shifter in parenting. The first is that the approach, the current approach, and the way that you have learned to parent doesn't feel right to you in your gut. There's decisions that are being made by other parents that you're questioning. And when you follow that path, it feels off to you. It feels out of alignment with yourself as a person and your relationship with your kids. Another thing is you're seeing a negative impact in the old way of doing things. The negative impact is on your relationship with your teenager, or there's a negative impact that you had from your experience growing up. We as humans apply the things that we have learned through our life in our parenting styles. So you learned how to be a parent from the person who parented you. And then your kids are learning how to be a parent through watching you and having you be their parent. Of course, a lot of parents do the exact opposite, or a lot of people do the exact opposite of what their parent did. That doesn't mean good or bad, but if the parents were super hands-off, they might decide to be really hands-on because they didn't like having a parent who was super hands-off. So what you're noticing is that whatever approach that you've taken on is not working for you or working for your team. Another really good sign is that you have a desire to change things, but you're not sure how. So you've got that gut feeling. This isn't really how I want to approach my child. This isn't really the path I want to take, but I don't really know what else to do because I don't see anyone else doing something different. So I feel like if I just follow along with everyone, then it should be okay. But there's something inside of you that's saying, I don't know about that. So the other sign, of course, is that it feels scary and uncertain. And you feel sometimes like you're the only one who feels this way. And you wonder if it's just you. So there are generational shifts that are going on. You can see it in Generation Z and Gen Alpha. You can see that they are different people with different needs, different values than what we grew up with. They have different influences, hugely different influences. They're living in a different world. And if we continue to parent them as we learned how to parent, it's not going to work. And before I start talking about the rules growing up, I want to speak to myself as a change agent and where this came from in my life. Yes, I am part of a paradigm shift. Yes, I have parenting approaches and ideas that may be really unpopular or haven't been heard of before, but I am not the first in my family to be a paradigm shifter. My parents were paradigm shifters. They were the only parents who picked me up from a party at 11 o'clock. They were the only in high school. They were the only parents I knew of growing up that were more laid back about rules and more understanding of what it's like to be a teenager. They understood the ups and downs. They understood that there's going to be parties. There's going to be experimenting with alcohol. And they always sent the message, we want you to be safe. So guess what? My parents were the only parents who would drive me to and pick me up from a party because they wanted me to be safe. If they found out I had been drinking, I wasn't in trouble. They saw that that was part of an experience of a teenager growing up. They didn't say, oh, go out and get drunk. It's fun. It's fine. But they also didn't get me in trouble for it. So I wasn't in fear of what would happen if they found out. And in fact, they would find out because they would pick me up from the parties. And guess what? I got home safe. So they were different. They allowed me to have friends over, boys over, boyfriends over, not like sleeping in my room or anything, but they knew that I was a human being as a teenager having human experiences transitioning into adulthood. They were hippies in a way, but not like full-on hippies. They didn't look to other parents to know how to parent. Their goal, and I've had conversations with them about this more recently, their goal was to maintain a healthy and connected relationship with me, and it worked. I knew that I could be honest with them about things. And the other thing that they were really willing to do was have uncomfortable conversations. That was something that wasn't really done as much for us growing up because our parents were raised, we don't talk about things. We don't talk about the hard things. We sweep them under the rug. But my parents didn't do that. They didn't sweep it under the rug. They were okay with being vulnerable and talking about their fears and concerns and bringing them to my attention and having open and honest conversations. So I speak to that because I am coming forward from parents who were paradigm shifters. And so I too am a paradigm shifter. I know what it's like to buck the system, to question and to do things that other people are doing. And I also know how hard it can be. So let me talk a little bit about the rules we had growing up. This is what it was like as a parent for our parents and how they would approach in general. And that was, we don't talk about it. We don't talk about the hard things. We sweep it under the rug. You deal with your stuff. I'll deal with my stuff. Also do as I say, not as I do. right? I'm in charge here. Hide your dirty laundry, not literally your dirty laundry, but we don't talk about the bad stuff. We don't let anyone know. As far as everyone knows, life is perfect. Our picket fence is white. There's no drama behind these doors. Everything is great. Nobody knows. There was a big focus on following the rules. And these rules were imposed upon us from generations handed down. They were not rules that our parents came up with. But you follow the rules. You're given the rules, you follow them. If you don't, you're in trouble. Also, school is a number one priority. It's also a big measure of your success. Good grades? Hey, good kid. Going to college? Good kid. Success. That was the main priority for success in life. There was also zero tolerance for experimentation, drinking, drugs, sex, sneaking out, failing a class. Big, big zero tolerance. You break the rule, you're in trouble. Getting grounded and having negative consequences was a big thing for bad behavior, quote unquote, bad behavior. Also, feelings equals weakness, right? If you're sad, you're weak. If you're crying, you're weak. Anger, it's okay, but never sadness, never emotions. We keep that to ourselves because when you are angry or when you're sad and when you're having these sad emotions, that means you're weak. There's also this big boss-employee dynamic growing up, like the parents are the boss, the kids are the employee. Your parents tell you what to do, you do it. End of story. And also follow my lead. Follow my lead, you're going to learn from me. I know all the things, you're here to learn from me. And so the result in that style of parenting, there was a lot of lying, hiding, holding it all in. That's where the sneaking out comes from. I don't want to have a conversation with you about wanting to see my boyfriend or wanting to go to this party because I know you're going to say no, so I'll just do it behind your back. That's not what you want. But that was a result. Also, the other side of things is following all of the rules and then feeling miserable or lost or alone. I'm doing everything to please my parents, and I hate the path I'm on. I don't like what I'm studying. I don't like what I'm doing. I don't like these classes I'm taking. I don't like this sport I'm playing. So you're following all the rules and you are miserable. You feel alone. Also, thinking you're bad because you do all of those things. Drink, do drugs, have sex, turning to risky behavior to cope. Or also aligning with the wrong crowd, just so you can actually feel like you fit in somewhere. Because when you're in a home where your parents are constantly on top of you for getting the things done, checking the boxes, making sure that you're a good employee, it can feel really isolating. So you find a crowd that makes you feel like you're connected, makes you feel like you belong and that you have value. And maybe that crowd isn't necessarily a healthy crowd to be around. So that can be a really big side effect. And I like to say crying alone in the shower is definitely a side effect. And that is part of hiding your emotions. Not that you can't cry in the shower and that's not productive in any way, it happens. But when you are raised with this message that it's not okay to have feelings or we don't share our tough times, then guess what? You're just sharing your tough time alone in the shower or on the floor in the bathroom. That leads to isolation, just feeling alone. And we know that when we feel alone, that's going to impact our mental health. It's going to impact our quality of life. It's going to impact our decisions. So now let me shift a little bit to what I like to call the new rules. And these are the things decisions that are being made and approaches that are happening that I see because I am definitely part of it, but also because I'm open to it. I'm a very open individual and I do my best not to judge other people for their approaches. So a side effect of that is that I get exposed to all different styles of parenting and different ways of raising kids. So some of the new rules, we talk about things. We talk about the good things, the hard things, the sad things. We talk about it. We're open and honest about it. Also, the message, it's okay to not be okay. I know that Gen Z's got this down pat. They went through the pandemic. A lot of them struggle with mental health, understandably so. It's brought forward to them that it's okay to not be okay. You don't have to feel alone in that. Also, a new rule is that making mistakes is expected and necessary. So when you make a mistake, it's not, oh, you suck, you're grounded. It's, you made a mistake, let's talk about it. Let's learn from it. Let's grow from this mistake. It's expected that you're going to make a mistake. Nobody's perfect. Also, one thing I absolutely love so much, do the weird thing. And by weird, I mean the thing that you love. Other people may think it's weird. Society may think it's weird, but it feels right to you. It feels good to you. Do the weird thing. That's one of the new rules. And of course, mental health before all else. Mental health above academics. Mental health above sports. That is the number one priority. Because if you're not healthy mentally, you're not able to enjoy your life. You're not able to do all of the things that you want to do. And of course, on top of that, sharing your feelings is a strength. The good, the bad, everything between. The more you share, the more open you are, the more honest you are. That requires strength. Because think about the times where you've been feeling vulnerable, feeling sad, feeling like there's something going on in your life that you don't see other people talking about. When you talk about it, when you're open about it, that's scary. It's scary because you're worried that other people are going to judge you or think that you've done something to deserve it or whatever reasons come up in your mind. So when you're purposely being open and honest and sharing, that is courage. That is strength. And I'm going to give you a little side for this, just to kind of talk about my experience with this. I've talked about many times about how my daughter struggles with mental health. She has severe OCD. And in the moments when we didn't know what was going on, when she was really struggling with her mental health, I was open about it. Of course, with her permission. I shared on social media what we were going through. And I cannot tell you how many people came to me and thanked me for being open because they too were experiencing it. But it also gave them a safe place to acknowledge the fact that it's hard to raise kids. And some of us feel alone and lost. And so by sharing, I was opening the door for them to also share and like setting the precedence of like, we talk about these things. Like this is part of being human. So sharing your feelings, sharing your experiences is strength. And in your relationship, instead of employee boss, it's we're a team. We're together in this. We're a team. And then also in conversations, there's curiosity over judgment. In the things, the questions that you ask, the things you talk about, when those mistakes happen, there's curiosity first, which teaches self-reflection. And that's a priority too. Not just for you to teach your kids how to do that, but for you to do it yourself and to be open and honest about the things that are coming up for you and having open discussions about it. Here's what I'm observing about myself. This is what I'm learning about myself. And here's what I'm implementing in my life. And just being transparent about what it means to be a human in this world. And also, instead of you follow my lead as a parent, it's you follow your lead. I'm supporting you along the way. That's a big shift there. That's the shift between employee and boss, and we're a team. You follow your lead. I'm here to support you with that. And also, one of my very favorite ones is instead of you learn from me, it's we learn from each other. Because when you're part of this paradigm shift, you're becoming a better person. And I've mentioned this in my past podcasts about how raising kids makes you a better person if you choose to do so. But you will learn more about yourself in raising your kids by having these conversations and being open and doing the self-reflection. You're learning from me, but I'm also learning from you. And the result in that approach is more confidence for your kids and for you, better connection between the two of you, more authenticity. You're in alignment with what's important to you, and therefore your teen, your child is going to be more in alignment with what's important to them because you're valuing that and you're showing it's a priority. Also, courage. When you model courage to do things that are different than what everyone else is doing, it shows your kid that it's okay. It's important to stick with what's important to you, even if it's scary, and to have courage to do so. And part of that, being more authentic and in alignment with the things that are important to you, is having more passion in your life. Not just as a parent, not just as a teenager in high school, but as a person. Because when you are confident and when you're living in alignment and you're reflecting on your life, you're going to be more willing and open to explore your passions in life because you know that the people around you are supporting you with it. There's a lot more understanding and there's a lot more inclusivity. Everybody's welcome at our table. This is not a mean girls situation where the jocks sit with the jocks, the nerds sit with the nerds, and the cool girls sit with the cool girls. We're all here at the same table. Everybody's invited. Pull up a chair. So, some of the challenges that can come with being a part of this new approach to parenting is a lot of self-doubt. Because you look around and you see nobody else is doing this, you wonder, am I wrong here? Is this going to mess up my kid? That's a really big question that comes up a lot too. And just wondering, is this right? Because there's no path in front of you that's just paved like it has been in the past. It's no longer paved. The paved road is there, but you're choosing not to take it. And you've got this kind of shaded, tree-covered path that's kind of there that you want to take, but there's no map. I'm using some really fun analogies here, but it causes a lot of self-doubt and also potential isolation, because if everyone else around you is doing one thing and you decide to do something different, it can feel very lonely. Also, fear of judgment. What are they going to think of me? What are they going to think of my kid if I do these things or if I don't do these things? And there's also just a general lack of guidance and support because it's a new thing. So here's how you can handle some of those challenges. First, just align yourself with like-minded people. If your group is not on board with your approach to parenting, find a new group. There is another group out there. Trust me, I know, because I talk to parents all the time and they're agents of change and they're inspired by their approach. They're there. You can find them. Also, remember, focus on the big picture and the long-term goal in being a parent and in your life. And notice when you're parenting from fear. Also, manage your stress. All the stress management stuff that I talk about, implement that in your life, because when your stress is managed, you'll be better able to tap into your intuition and make parenting choices that feel right to you. And to be sure to trust yourself. Lean into your self-trust. You are the guarantee here. So you may be doing something different, but you are guaranteeing for yourself that this is going to be for the betterment of yourself and your family. Also, watch what you're consuming. And I'm talking about all the media out there. TikToks, Instagram, all of those things out there where there's messages being sent that may or may not apply to you. If you're absorbing it all, you're starting to create a mental map of what is and what isn't okay. But it may not be in alignment with what's really important to you. So just watch what you're consuming. If you watch a TikTok or a YouTube or even a TV show where you're like, what the heck is that parent doing? Stop following that person. Stop looking at that thing. Keep your focus on the direction that you want to go and keep your people around you, the people who are with you on that. And of course, find support. Whether it's in the social group, family members, friends, surround yourself with people who are there on this mission with you. And this is something I've helped many parents navigate, and I can help you too. I'll help you make parenting decisions that feel right for you and for your teen. I'll also help you manage all the fears, those doubts that come up with being different and forging a new path, because I've been there and I've done that. So just click the link in the show notes to apply to work with me. And what's going to happen is on our free discovery call, we'll discuss your current challenges, your goals for yourself and your teenager, and I'll tell you step by step how I will help you get there. I look forward to hearing from you. Thanks for tuning in, and I'll see you next time.